Hello, this is Angelia with today's wisdom. Today's wisdom comes from Daily Ohm, Reflections of Self. We are all mirrors for each other. And to a certain extent, that is true. When we look at other people, we see many of their qualities in innumerable and seemingly random combinations. And they say when people are, pointing the finger, accusing people of things, they're seeing in that person what is in them. So. However, the qualities that we see in the people around us are directly related to the traits that exist in us. Because we're going to admire good things about people that we think are good about us. And we're going to dislike things in people that we think we dislike about our own traits. Like attracts like is one of the spiritual laws of the universe. And there have been whole schools of thought created on this, like the promise and, laws of attraction and, things of that nature. And essentially, it's true because what you put out is what you get. And it's as simple as the way you behave towards others in the world is the way people are going to behave towards you. So, that's a lesson to think about. We attract individuals into our lives that mirror who we are. And for the most part, that's true. For the most part, most of the people that I know and are friends with are people that I like because they're like good, intelligent, loving, decent people. And that's what I like about myself, and that's what I try to be. And every now and then you come across a person who just is so not like you that they're very off-putting, and you don't want to be around them because they could be just a reflection of maybe some darkness in you, or just like I said, someone who is the opposite of what you are. And that doesn't always attract. Opposites don't always attract. Sometimes they repel pretty hard. Those you feel drawn to reflect your inner self back at you. And you act as a mirror for them. And everybody's different. So I might seem like this way to one person, or this way to one person. Or if you have a very narrow opinion of me and you've only met me in one venue, it might have been the day I was having or whatever. Or if you just watch my videos, you think you might know something about me, but that again is a very narrow little piece of my life. So you might not know as much as you think. Simply put, when you look at others, you will likely see what exists in you. So if you have a very negative opinion of everyone, like I said, I've had clients I work with where it's always the other person. It's never them. It's always the other person. And then I like to tell them, if it's always the other person, that tells me the problem could be you. Maybe you need to have a look at that. Because, it's not always the other person all the time. If everyone, because this is a word someone used, everyone is against me, no. That's not going to be the case ever, that everyone is against you. Unless you are so super special that the devil feels like he needs to bang on you constantly. That's not going to be the case. So sometimes it's you. When you see beauty, divinity, sweetness, or light in the soul of another, you are seeing the goodness that resides in your soul. And that's what I look for in the other people. I like the good, happy, nice people, and someone said something to me once about, people that agree with me or whatever, but that's not true, because I have friends who I like who sometimes we don't agree on everything, but, we value the friendship, so we don't harp on that point, if we know it bothers each other. When you see traits in others that evoke feelings of anger, annoyance, or hatred, you may be seeing reflected back at you those parts of yourself that you have disowned or do not like. Now, we all have that going on sometimes. we get angry at other folks, especially if they're of a different opinion than we are, because we're like, like there's a song, and one of the lines in the song is like, "How could you think that way?" But some people do. Annoyance. There are some people who are pests. They like to annoy you, like to bug you. And that's because they're unhappy, and they kind of want to insert themselves into your life, so you're unhappy too. As my grandma said, misery loves company. Miserable people want you to be miserable too. As far as hatred, I try to not hate anybody. Lord knows I have failed upon occasion, especially there's someone in our country right now who I am really unhappy with. My dad says they're the beast, and I kind of wonder if maybe that's not true because of what's going on in the world. But, in general, if there's something that bugs you about somebody, stop, take a pause, and look at whether that's something about you that you don't like about yourself. And you kind of see something that maybe reflects that, and that's what you're going at. Because sometimes, like I said, sometimes it is about you. Because we are all mirrors for each other. Looking at the people in your life can tell you a lot about yourself. Because again, if you got a lot of people around you that you don't care for, that says something about you right there. It's like, why are you surrounded by all these people you don't care for? It could be maybe you don't like yourself very much. So, who you are can be laid bare to you through what you see in others. Because, sometimes we don't want to look at the dark parts of ourselves. And so we push that all back, but then we see it in other people. And then we complain and don't like that and blah, blah, blah. When really, it was a trigger to us, because we know we have that in us. So, it is easy to see the traits you do not like in others. It is much more difficult to realize that you possess those same traits. And some people never realize that. Some people go through their life always pointing fingers, and that's a shame, If you find yourself in that case, my advice is to go get some therapy, and you can start figuring out, why do I feel like this about everything and everyone, and unpack your baggage, and your life will become much lighter once you do that. Often, the habits, attitudes, and behaviors of others are closely linked to our unconscious and unresolved issues. And sometimes they're not. Like I said, a lot of times they are. But like, my husband has stuff that bugs the crap out of me, which is he'll eat in the bed and get crumbs in the bed. I know that's not any of my baggage. That's because I don't like crumbs in my bed. I like it clean. I'm a clean person, and I don't want that in my bed, So before we go to bed, he has to clean out his bed. He has to, brush it out, fix it, and everything, so that I don't have to deal with his crumbs. So, that's not anything that's unresolved to me. I'm not a, person that made crumbs in the bed. So that's just a cleanliness issue for me, because I don't want his crumbs sticking on me when I'm sleeping. So sometimes it's just what it is. When you come into contact with someone you admire, search your soul for similarly admirable traits. And I'm a big believer in, if you admire someone, you should tell them, because maybe no one else has told them that before, and they need that little boost of self-esteem. And those are the kind of people I look to associate with. People I admire, It's like they did something great, and succeeded, or they're a really good person, they're really smart, they're a really loving, sweet person. I got a few friends who are like the sweetest people in the world, and that's why I like them. They might not be the best looking people, they might not be the smartest people, but they're the sweetest people in the world, so that's why I like them. And there are some, people I know who are just like stalwart, decent, I hate to say the word perfect, but they're so good and decent that they would never, even criticize another person. And that's what I like about them, because sometimes they're my sounding board, so I can be, well, here's how I'm feeling, but I know this is not a gracious way, so let me hear what you have to say about that. And then I can bounce that off them, and they can give me, some of their opinion, and they feel the same way. It's like, well, I think, I'm reserved, and, I don't like to speak up, what do you think about this? Because they know I'm going to speak up, and I will tell them what I think about it. So, it's a good thing to have friends who are different from you, not everyone perfectly the same as you, because that's how, you can be there for each other. Likewise, when you meet someone exhibiting traits that you dislike, accept that you are looking at your reflection. And sometimes, it's good, and sometimes it's not good. And like I say, it's not always something you see in yourself, but a lot of times it is. Think about, why does this bother me? And sometimes, like I say, it's not. Sometimes, you sit there and you think to yourself, well, I would never do that to this person. I would never do that to them. So I don't like that they're doing that to me. Sometimes you are justified in your righteous indignation. Looking at yourself through your perception of others can be a humbling and eye-opening experience, if you allow it to be. There are some people who cannot humble themselves, and they will not open their eyes. He who has eyes to see. But some people, nope, they're closed, and they're not going to look at that. Some people think they are just so perfect, that they don't have to be humble, they don't have to look at themselves in any way, because it's always the other people. And it's almost never always the other people. So, you can also cultivate in you the traits and behaviors that you do like. So if you meet some people and you like that about them, then you can cultivate that in you, And I knew a girl who was so against copycatting. But it's like, you know what? The best way to learn how to do something is to find someone who's done it well and succeeded, and then you emulate them to, succeed at whatever it is you want to succeed at. So, again, people get these mindsets where, it holds them back, and that's all baggage. It's usually, generational, I don't like to say generational curses, but generational ways of teaching and things that put these ideas into you, or you pick them up, throughout the world from other kids, from teachers, and, people. And then you have these traits and beliefs that hold you back in life because, they're basically keeping you safe, keeping everybody out, but then you can't get where you want to be because you've got these walls that you can't get through. Be loving and respectful to all people. And that's a good rule. And that's what Jesus would do, isn't it? So think about that. Before you get hateful with somebody and be disrespectful with somebody, number one, that's not what Jesus would do, is it? And number two, how would you like to be treated? That's one of the golden rule, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. So if you wouldn't appreciate someone else doing that to you, then you shouldn't be doing it to them. We've kind of lost that nowadays, but we need to go back to that, and the world would be a better place. Forget going back to the, 50s or whatever years you think were great, and try being a decent person to other folks, and that would be, better. And you will attract individuals that will love and respect you back. And that's the facts, Jack. If you're good to other people and you're loving and respectful to them, then they're going to like that about you. And they're going to be more loving and respectful to you. It's called civilization. Once upon a time, we knew how to be civil to each other. We've kind of lost that here in the good old USA. We forgot how to do it. It's like me, my, mine. So we forgot how to be civilized folks and be decent people. And we need to go back to doing that. Nurture compassion and empathy And let the goodness you see in others be your mirror. So again, compassion. You know, having compassion for your fellow man. That's not in vogue here right now. Screw them, let me get mine, and I don't feel sorry for them, blah 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 blah. And that's a shame, because if you were in this situation, you would want someone to have compassion on you. So, that's something you need to stop and think about. And empathy, you can put yourself in their, position. And how would you feel, and what would you do? And again, a lot of people nowadays, that's not in vogue, and people don't want to do that. They don't want to think about that. We're better than them. Oh, but, BS. So, if you see goodness in others, cultivate that in yourself. You can become a good, intelligent, loving, decent person, if you want to be. And so the people you should be mirroring are those people. There's in school, I know coming up, there were some people that were considered cool, but one of them especially that was considered cool was just mean. They were just mean to people, and they had their little followers, and people liked them, and but they were just mean to me. I guess from an early age, I could see through the BS. That comes from the situation I grew up in. There was a lot of BS flying, and I learned pretty quick to see through. It's like, wait a minute, that's not true because of this. I learned to see through the BS at a young age. So, I saw through the veneer of cool or popular or whatever pretty quick. And I learned that being myself and being true to myself, and being a person I liked, made me cool in my own eyes. So, to other folks, that kind of started, maybe they thought I was pretty cool because I didn't go along with the clique or whatever. Like I said, I had a few of the popular girls tell me I shouldn't hang around with this girl, that girl, because she wasn't cool or she was ugly or whatever. And I'm like, okay, you're mean. She's a really nice person and I like her. I'm going to hang around with her whether you like it or not. You just go on somewhere. Oh, but you could be really popular. You could hang with us. I don't want to hang with you because you're mean and jerky. So, sometimes cool is different for different folks. So, anyway, think about it. Oftentimes we're mirrors for each other, and what you're seeing is a reflection of yourself. So please like and share this wisdom so we can spread it around the world. If you want to help me out, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to help me out even more, go to my Patreon page and become a patron. The link to that is in my posts. Thanks for watching. That's all for now. Until next time.